happening, everyone? Welcome to part 8 of the HTML tutorials with form checkboxes and radio tutorials. Let's get started here. We're basically going to start by creating our form real quick again. Remember that in here we'll have our action, which is going to go to wherever we are wanting this form to submit. It could be our home or maybe index.php, and then our method we'll put as post. So basically we have our form, which has been created with that. So the first thing we're going to do here is just create our name, which is going to be first name. Put this in parentheses here, and basically we'll put our first input list, which again is going to be the text field which we talked about originally. So input type is going to equal text, and that should over here generate our first input field. So here it is. Why don't we give it a little break quick so that it's a little bit more formish. So the next one we're going to talk about here is the checkbox, which again we're just going to want to go back to a input value and a type, and basically we just put checkbox. So here it is, checkbox. Let's close that off, and we've created our checkbox. Why don't we give it a break again just to make this a little bit more easy to read, and we'll make our first, or it'll be color. That's what we'll name our. So here we have our next checkbox. We're going to start by building this out with different colors here. So basically let's give it another line break, and that'll bring it down, and let's just call this one red. And I would say to give this a value of red as well, because that is what is going to connect with the database. So basically value red, and then let's just copy this line of text after we give it a break, so it drops a line, and create it down to red, which will become blue, and another which will become yellow, and another which will become purple. So basically with that we have our checkboxes drawn out. Now the last one here we're going to create real quick is the radio button, which is basically the same thing. Input type, actually I'll just write it out real quick. Input type equals radio, and basically what that's doing is establishing our first radio button, which is basically this button. So this is our radio buttons, and you can see here that basically we have started to create radio buttons. Guys, that is checkboxes, that is radio buttons. You're going to come across these a lot with forms. They're a great way to kind of give people more options. With that said, stay tuned. Next part, continuing the HTML forms. Take care.